Hello again, and welcome to another Warhammer 40K Imperial Guard Tactics video. So, recently I have been thinking about all the different nerfs that the Imperial Guard have received since 8th edition has dropped. How our conscripts are now essentially useless, and we started off 8th edition essentially being able to take large blocks of infantry and be able to back that up with some serious long-range firepower. With all the nerfs that have happened to Imperial Guard, we have become significantly weaker. And it's sort of, I've been writing lists for tournaments and things, and I keep finding myself falling back on sort of certain gimmicks, like, maybe taking lots of Bullgrins or taking a ridiculous amount of another kind of unit. But what I miss is the days of lots of infantry backed up by lots of tanks. Now, we can still do that to a certain extent, but it's just not the same. I think we can all agree that it's just not the same. And so I have been trying to find ways of getting that feeling back of having infantry, fearless infantry, supporting and bubble wrapping lots of tanks. And I have come up with a rather heretical solution. Genestealer cults. I think Genestealer cults could provide a rather interesting alternative for the Imperial Guard, and they may allow us to get that feeling back of having big blocks of conscripts backed up by Lehman Russes. Okay, what am I talking about? Well, essentially, the problem that faces the Imperial Guard at the moment is that we're having to rely quite heavily on 10-man infantry squads. And there's rumours abound, guys, that they're going to get nerfed. Because all you see in Imperial soup armies now are 10-man infantry squads, for filling out troop choices, and they're too cheap. So, warning ahead, guys, expect your infantry squads to go in I think March is when the next chapter approved or next big FAQ drops. In March, expect to see infantry squads to go up by 1 point. Not confirmed, purely rumours at this point. But that got me thinking, if we start paying 5 points per infantryman again, yes, that kind of makes conscripts more viable, but it still doesn't really, because conscripts are so, unless you're taking Valhallan with Petrov's pistol, it's very difficult to get them to stick around and be. The key to the conscript success was the fearlessness, was the commissar just killing one guy and then passing. Now, if we're going up to 5 point conscripts, 5 point guardsmen, even if we're not, Genestealer Cult still offer us a really interesting idea, really interesting possibilities, because they get access to guardsman equivalent units, which they can quite easily make fearless. In fact, you might not want to believe it, but Genestealer Cultists' basic infantry have better base leadership than guardsmen. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about Neophyte hybrids. Neophyte hybrids are essentially guardsmen. Okay, a Neophyte hybrid has the following stats: movement 6 inches, weapon skill, ballistic skill 4+, strength 3, toughness 3, wounds 1, attacks 1, leadership 7, and a 5+ save. But guardsmen only have leadership 6 with a 5+ save, and the Neophyte leader, aka the sergeant of the squad, has leadership 8. So we're looking at leadership 8 basic guardsmen. That's really interesting. They don't, unlike Mordians, they don't have to be ranked up to get that +1 leadership. Now these guys, again, this is where it starts coming in. They come in squads of 10, but you can add another 10. So we're looking at 20-man blobs here. That's significant. That's like being able to take guardsman squads in conscript-sized units. Very interesting. Now, these guys also get access to quite an interesting array of weapons. Up to 2. Any Neophyte can replace its autogun with a shotgun or lasgun. Autoguns and lasguns are exactly the same. Strength 3, rapid fire 1, 24-inch range. Okay, so they're just for modelling purposes. I'd probably go autoguns just for rule of cool. Shotguns is interesting. We can have 20 shotgun guys. That opens up the possibility for a dedicated assault guardsman unit, which is crazy. You can take cult icons, which means, again, this opens up this possibility for assault guard. If you have this cult icon, basically you can take a legitimate flag in your Neophyte hybrid squads. Gives you reroll hits of 1 in the fight phase. Now, obviously, these guys aren't great in the fight phase, but hell, it gives you options. Up to 2 Neophyte hybrids can replace their auto guns with 1 item from the special weapon list. Now, that's interesting, because you could take 2 special weapons in a 10-man squad. Now, I don't actually know what special weapons these guys get access to, but I don't think they get access to things like plasma or anything like that. I'd have to check. I think it's more like grenade launchers and stuff like that. I'll look into that later on in the video. I'm still going to cover the rest of the options, but still, that's 2 special weapons per 10 man. That's good. Also, get this. You get a Neophyte leader who can take weapons from the pistol and melee weapon list. That's standard, really. But on top of that, so we've got 2 special weapons. On top of that, 2 Neophytes can replace their auto guns with heavy mining equipment, or you can form a single heavy weapon team. So, in a 10-man, if you wanted to do this, if you could take a 10-man guardsman squad in inverted commas, you would actually be able to, in your 10-man guardsman squad, be able to take 2 special weapons and 2 mining weapons. That's essentially the equivalent of taking 4 special weapons in a single squad. That's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. So, what we're looking at here is 20-man guardsman squads with the ability to take 4 special weapons in them. What is not to like about that? And they're cheap. These guys are 5 points per model. Now, admittedly, currently, that is 1 point per model than guardsmen. But, you know, if the rumours are to be true going forward, these guys are going to be the same price as guardsmen. Now, obviously, there are advantages and disadvantages. Okay? These guys don't have access to orders. And they don't have... well, that's pretty much it. They don't have access to orders. Which is a biggie. Orders make Imperial Guard really, really good. What they do have access to instead is Cult Ambush, which is kind of interesting. Cult Ambush, I'm not going to go into it too much detail here, but essentially, instead of deploying your unit on the board as normal, you can put them in reserve and essentially outflank / infiltrate them. It's a bit random, but you can outflank / infiltrate them. So we're looking at an entire army of guards like an outflank. Hang on a second. That's like having the Talon trait. So, and they don't get regimental traits, but instead of regimental traits, they get Cult Ambush. So that's their regiment trait essentially. And they also get something called Unquestioning Loyalty, where they on a 4+ they can jump in front of a cat. They can do a lookout, sir, basically. So, you know, if you've got one of your characters about to get sniped off, you could, on a 4+, a Neophyte can jump in front of them. So that's cool. So these guys, whilst they don't have access to orders, they do have access to other things that, you know, maybe make up for it. Now, I promised you fearlessness in this unit. I promised you that, and I'm going to deliver it. The Patriarch, which is essentially a big Genestealer, has a special rule called Living Idol. Genestealer Cult units within 6 inches of any friendly Patriarch automatically pass morale tests. Now, this Patriarch is a beast. He is not a bad unit at all. You want to think of him as kind of like a commissar and a psyker and a really nasty close combat character all rolled into one. So he's got weapon skill 2+, strength 6, toughness 5, wounds 6, attack 6, and a 4+ save. So he's a character who can't be targeted unless he's the nearest thing. And he gets a 5+ invuln as well. Also, Brood Telepathy, you can add 1 to the hit rolls in the fight phase for friendly Pure Strain Genestealers, if you're going to take Pure Strain. I'm not really looking at taking Pure Strains in this concept of using these guys as Imperial Guard, because I'm thinking of basically taking the Imperial Guard concept and applying it to this army. Now, I don't know how much these guys are. Let's take a look at how much patriarch is. I imagine they're going to be pretty expensive. You're only going to want like 1 or 2 of these guys, probably. That's all you're going to want. They're 150 points. So that's expensive. That's expensive. You know, we can't deny that. That's expensive. But they can manifest psychic powers. And they, you know, you're getting 3 characters in one. That's how you've got to see it. You're getting 3 characters in one. I would only probably take 2 of these guys in an army. If you're allowed to take 2 of them. I assume you're allowed to take 2 of them. It doesn't say you can only take 1. Ooh, interesting. You can buy familiars. There's loads of little bits for him that you can buy things that let him do extra powers, blah, 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 blah. But look, essentially what we're looking at here, guys, is an army of these hybrid neophytes, neophyte hybrids. You know, maybe 120 of them. You know, take 6. If we're looking at filling out a brigade of some kind, you want to take 6 squads of those guys. Now, that's not even a lot of points. That's only 600 points. Because it's 50 points for 10 of them, 100 points for 20. That is 120 Guardsman equivalent models for 600 points. That is cheap. You slap these 2 Pure Strain thingy mobobs, these Patriarch things, on them. That's 900 points. And you've got yourself 120 Fearless Infantry backed up by characters and psychic powers. I mean, that's deadly. That's fantastic. Now, these guys, if you were, again, we're looking at this brigade, because brigades are what we want. We want lots of command points. What we need to take is fast attack. We need to take heavy support. We need to take elites. Well, excuse me, but elites are pretty easy for us to get our hands on. You can take these things called hybrid metamorphs. They're 13 points per model. You take groups of 5 of them. That's all you need to take, 5. And that's 65 points times 3. That's only 195 points. Then you can take 3 Cult Lehman Russes. These are basic Lehman Russes. You can give them battle cannon, las cannon, heavy bolters. We know how good they are. They're 180 points each. That's plus the 900 we had before. We're looking at for these 50s, for filling out your elites, your heavy support, and your troops, and 2 of your 3 HQs. We've spent 1,635 points. Now all we need to do is to get 3 fast attack in here, and you can take Cult Sentinels, Scout and Armored Sentinels. So if I was to take, if you're thinking, oh, well, we need a bit more anti-tank in this army, let's take 3 flipping Armored Sentinels with las cannons. That's 180 points. We're looking at 1815 points. That's 185 points left over. Now we could slap on another cheap HQ. You've got access to these other HQs. You've got the Magus, the Primus, the Icon Ward. I don't know what each one of these do. I think the Magus is more of a Psyker. Yes, the Magus is a Psyker, so we don't really need him. The Primus, the Primus is interesting. He, in close combat, gives you +1 to hit. That's cool. Or the Icon Ward, you could, very interesting on the Icon Ward. Anyone who's within 6 inches of this model gets the equivalent of a 6 foot Feel No Pain. Very interesting. So they let you reroll failed morale tests. So if you're If you're maybe thinking, I don't want the patriarch, I just want to be able to reroll, I want to reroll failed morale tests, you could take these the acolyte icon wards instead. They're better. Those acolyte wards, sorry, other way around. Acolyte icon wards are better than commissars, because your guys have got leadership 8 anyway, so that's like they're being buffed by a regular commissar, and they can reroll failed morale tests rather than they must reroll failed morale tests. That's really good. If you need to save points, if you don't want to go out and if you don't like the idea of your Imperial Guard Genestealer Cult army being led by actual Xeno scum like the Patriarchs, take these acolyte icon wards instead. You're getting reroll morale tests and you get a 6-up feel no pain. That's bloody fantastic. You know, that's absolutely amazing. Now, how much are these acolyte things? They're only 53 points. Holy moly. So what we're looking at here is for 3 HQs, and this is where we're going for 2 Patriarchs and an Icon Ward, 3 HQs, 3 heavy support with 3 Lehman Russes, 3 Armoured Sentinels, and then you've got 15 of those hybrid guys, the elite choice guys, which are okay, they're kind of attacks, but they can do stuff in close combat. And then you've got 120 infantry, all that. So we're looking at 3 tanks, 3 sentinels, 15 elites, 120 cannon fodder, and 3 characters, all that for 1,868 points. That leaves you with basically 132 points to spend on upgrades for your cannon fodder. We're looking at heavy bolters, we're looking at heavy stubbers, we're looking at grenade launchers. What I'm trying to get across to you guys is hold the phone, hang on. Have we got an army here that is potentially old style Imperial Guard? Best thing about this, if you decide to not take the Patriarchs, because obviously maybe you don't want to go, maybe like I said, you don't like the idea of having Xenos leading your Genestealer army, your Imperial Guard army. Take the Icon Wards instead. That'll save you a boatload of points. That'll save you 200 points, which is crazy when you think about it. You could, oh my god guys, you could split into 3 fighting groups. You could split into 3 fighting groups where each fighting group has got 2 20-man blob squads, a las cannon sentinel, a Lehman Russ, and a mother flipping Icon Ward. So everyone's re-rolling leadership tests, and everyone's got a 6-up feel no pain. Oh, don't forget you've got your 5 close combat guys, if you need a little bit of a counter-attack unit. Does that not fulfill all the obligations that we like in a fighting group? You've got cannon fodder, you've got so you can absorb damage, you've got numbers so you can take ground, you've got firepower so you can do damage, and you've got a counterattack element in those hybrid metamorphs. You could take an army like that right now. You wouldn't even have to buy any more models. If you really didn't want to, regular guardsmen can take the place of the hybrid Neophyte hybrids. You'd probably have to use a bunch of last pistol chainsword guys for the hybrid metamorphs. Lehman Russes are Lehman Russes, and Sentinels are Sentinels. Officers would be Icon Wards. You could go out there you could go out into battle right now. You wouldn't even need to buy a single another model. This is really, really powerful. Now, some of you might be saying, well, if this is so bloody powerful, why haven't we seen this shit everywhere already? Why haven't we seen people taking this army all over the place? Okay, this is why. This is my thoughts, my perceptions. Okay, 1, Genestealer Cult, it's not a particularly popular army. It's pretty niche. I was surprised when Games Workshop even released them. So no one's looking at this. No one's even thinking about it. So there's that. And number 2, people don't see Genestealer cults as... They see them as this... How to put this? They see them as a close combat army. And admittedly they are, and they have on a lot of their buffs pertain to close combat. Don't get me wrong. But we're not looking at this from a Genestealer Cult perspective. We're looking at this from a guardsman perspective. And what this whole video boils down to is, do you like to take big blobs of fearless infantry and back them up with Leman Russes? If the answer is yes, then ask yourself this: should you be running your army as Genestealer Cults? Maybe. I'm going to try it. I've always liked the idea of Genestealer Cults, and forgive me, but I have a real hard-on for autoguns in this game. I love the style of the Imperial autogun. So the fact that if I could get a whole army of bloody autogun guys would be amazing. That's why I love Chaos Cultists as well for the Chaos Army, because I love that Imperial autogun style. It's really cool. And for us old-timey players who have been around for a while, you young guns might not appreciate this, but autoguns, the only way you used to be able to get them was like the old style Necromunda autoguns, and they were like gold dust. So the fact that Games Workshop has brought back autoguns is really, really, it's awesome for a lot of us old school players that used to love trying to get autogun models. So yeah, tell me what you guys think. Am I nuts? Am I absolutely nuts? Am I wrong? Am I missing something here? Tell me. But what I've concocted looks like an army with roughly 140 infantry and a lot of bloody tanks. What am I missing something here? It looks powerful. Yeah, we don't get regiment traits. That's a big one. But hold the phone. This is an army which has the potential to rival Imperial Guard. But they don't even have a codex yet. Can you imagine what would happen to this army when they get a codex? It'll be insane. They'll get some absolutely crazy, crazy stuff. So, yeah, I think my recommendation, guys, is don't run out there and start buying up hundreds of boxes of these Genestealer Cultists, because we don't know what's coming yet. But keep your eye on this space. Watch this space. If Guardsmen continue to get nerfed, as I have heard will happen, and these guys get a codex, these guys could very easily become a good alternative for the Guardian in a competitive environment. Very, very possibly. So, I think the number one disadvantage, though, and this is the one thing I want to sign off on, the number one is before you go off and buy loads of them, is the fact they don't have access to orders, so you won't be able to first rank fire, second rank fire. So just bear that in mind. But if you were going to run these guys as 10-man squads, you wouldn't really need first rank fire, second rank fire, because you'd be having 4 special weapons in the army. Also, one thing that might sell it for you. Okay. Holy shit, I just realised this. One thing that might sell it for you is you can give the Neophyte leaders autoguns. Which basically means, finally, your sergeants can take fucking lasguns. Finally! How cool is that? You want your lasgun sergeants back? Come and join the Genestealer Cult. If that isn't a good note to finish on, I don't know what is. Hope you guys... also, everyone comes with a pistol. So you get an autogun and a pistol. So if you're in close combat with these guys, you can still brap with your auto pistol. But like I said, if lasgun / autogun sergeants aren't enough to sell it for you, I don't know what is. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Hope it's given you something to think about. Leave lots of comments. Tell me what you think. And of course, I'll see you guys next time.